used to think trust was like the glass walls of my office at Vertex Media, a transparent shield, strong enough to hold back the chaos of the world. I'm Ava, 34, a senior content strategist at one of Portland's top digital marketing firms. My life was a carefully curated gallery of late-night deadlines, artisanal coffee from the cafe on Northwest 23rd, and the quiet pride of building a career from nothing. My desk overlooked the Willamette River, its waters glinting under the city's ever-gray sky. A reminder of the calm I craved. The river's steady flow mirrored my ambition. Each campaign I crafted a ripple that shaped Portland's digital landscape, billboards glowing in the Pearl District, social media ads buzzing on X. My days began with the scent of espresso and the hum of my laptop. My evenings spent sketching strategies in my loft, the city's bridges glowing through my window like promises. But glass, I learned, shatters when you least expect it, and trust, once broken, leaves jagged edges that cut deep. The first betrayal came from Mia, my best friend of 12 years. We'd met in a college lit class at Reed, bonding over dog-eared copies of The Bell Jar and dreams of escaping our small-town roots in eastern Oregon. Mia was a supernova, wild curls, a laugh that filled rooms, and a charm that could make anyone feel like her confidant. I was the steady one, mapping out our futures over late-night wine in our dorm, plotting how we'd conquer Portland's creative scene. After graduation, we moved into a loft in the Pearl District. A quirky space with exposed brick, creaky hardwood, and skylights that caught the rain like a prism. We'd dance to vinyl records, Bowie, Fleetwood Mac, plan hikes in the Columbia Gorge, and promise to always have each other's backs. Friday nights were sacred, Thai takeout from Pok Pok, pumpkin spice candles flickering, and stories that spilled into dawn. I shared my fears of failure, my hopes for a corner office, my PIN codes for emergencies, even the code to my safe where I kept my mother's heirloom necklace. Mia was my chosen family, the one I believed with every fiber of my being. I was wrong. It was a crisp October evening, the kind where Portland's streets smelled of wet leaves, pine, and espresso, the air sharp with autumn's bite. I'd come home early from a grueling client pitch at Vertex, my heels clicking on the loft's hardwood, my shoulders aching from hours hunched over my laptop. The air was thick with the scent of Mia's pumpkin spice candles, a scent I'd once loved, now a trigger for nausea. Her laptop sat open on the kitchen counter, a careless habit I'd teased her about for years, its screen glowing in the dim light. I wasn't snooping, not intentionally, but a notification pinged, and my eyes caught an email subject line, Ava's investment. My heart stuttered, a cold prickle spreading across my skin. 6 months earlier, Mia had pitched me a sure-thing real estate venture, a condo project in the Bahamas. She'd shown me glossy brochures, her hazel eyes bright with promises of our future. Her voice steady as she described passive income and beachfront views. I'd handed over $20,000, my entire savings, scraped together from years of late nights, skipped vacations, and side hustles writing blog posts for tech startups. I'd trusted her vow that it was our ticket to financial freedom, a joint dream to secure our place in Portland's skyrocketing housing market. I clicked, my fingers trembling, the screen's glow casting shadows on the brick walls, the rain's patter outside a distant drum. The email was from her cousin Derek, a broker with a reputation shadier than a Portland alley at midnight. Funds transferred to the offshore account, it read. Ava's $20,000 cleared. We're set for the Bahamas deal. My breath caught, a cold wave crashing over me, my pulse pounding in my ears. I scrolled, each message a dagger, months of correspondence detailing how they'd siphoned my savings into a personal account, forged documents to cover their tracks, and Mia's smug replies, she trusts me completely. Easiest $20,000 I'll ever make. Another email mentioned my mother's necklace, pawned for an extra $5,000 to sweeten the deal. My knees buckled and I sank to the floor, the cold wood seeping through my skirt, my hands clutching the counter's edge. The loft, once a sanctuary of laughter and shared secrets, felt like a mausoleum, its skylights framing a sky as gray as my heart. Confusion churned into anger, then heartbreak. Mia wasn't just my friend, she was the sister I'd chosen, the one who'd held me through breakups. Celebrated my first big campaign, promised we'd grow old together, sipping wine on a porch somewhere. I'd shared my fears, my bank details, my dreams of a stable future. Now, every memory, her hugs, her late-night pep talks, her laughter over shared dumplings, felt like a lie. I clutched my phone, wanting to call her, scream, demand answers, but she wasn't home, probably at a bar charming her next mark. Instead, I cried, ugly sobs echoing in the empty space, my reflection in the skylight a ghost of the woman I'd been. The second betrayal came at Vertex Media, where the glass walls hid a toxic underbelly beneath the firm's polished facade. My boss, CEO Marcus Langley, was a titan in the industry, charismatic, with a polished smile, slicked back hair, and a knack for landing Fortune 500 clients like Nike and Intel. His corner office was a shrine to his ego, mahogany desk, framed awards from Adweek, photos of his wife, Lauren, and their 2 kids beaming from a Maui beach vacation. To the world, he was a family man. A mentor who championed diversity in glossy press releases. To the women at Vertex, he was a wolf in a tailored suit, his charm a veneer for predation. I'd heard whispers in the break room, late-night meetings, suggestive comments, hands lingering too long on shoulders, but I'd brushed them off, chalking it up to office gossip. I needed this job to survive, especially now with my savings gone, the loft's $2,500 monthly rent a looming guillotine that threatened to sever my dreams. Marcus had always been professional with me, praising my campaigns for their visionary edge, calling me indispensable in team meetings, his hand clapping my shoulder in a way that felt paternal, not predatory. Until he wasn't. It started with Sarah, a junior designer and single mom who'd become my work confidant. We'd bonded over lunch breaks in the break room, a sterile space with flickering fluorescents, a coffee machine that sputtered like a dying engine, and vending machines stocked with stale chips. Sarah, with her warm smile and knack for bold color palettes, had been acting strange, jumpy, avoiding eye contact, her usual warmth replaced by a guarded edge that set my nerves on edge. One rainy afternoon, as we huddled over lukewarm lattes from Stumptown, the break room's windows fogged with Portland's relentless drizzle, she broke down. Tears stained her blouse as she confessed, Marcus had been pursuing her for months, dangling a promotion while pressuring her into dinners and private brainstorming sessions at his downtown condo. His texts, which she showed me on her phone, were relentless, laced with innuendo, "Wear something nice, Sarah, let's make this fun," and threats veiled as concern, "Don't want to see you stuck in that role forever." When she refused, he demoted her to a dead-end data entry job, citing performance issues in a memo that humiliated her in front of the team. "He knows I can't afford to lose this job, Ava," she whispered, her voice breaking, her hands trembling around her cup, her eyes red with fear and shame. "He's untouchable." I was furious, my hands shaking as I gripped my latte, the heat burning my palms, my mind racing with images of confronting Marcus, exposing him. But Sarah begged me not to report him. "He'll ruin me," she said, and I saw the fear in her eyes, fear I'd soon know too well, a shadow that would haunt my own steps. Weeks later, Marcus turned his sights on me, his mask slipping in a way that made my skin crawl. He called me into his office after hours, the city skyline glittering through the glass behind him. Portland's lights blurred by rain that streaked the windows like tears. The office was quiet, the hum of computers silenced, the only sound the faint patter of rain and Marcus's measured breathing. "Ava, you're on the cusp of greatness," he said, his voice smooth as whiskey, his eyes lingering on my blouse, a predatory glint I hadn't seen before, his smile too sharp, too hungry. "But you need to play the game." His hand brushed my arm, a deliberate graze that sent a shiver of revulsion down my spine. My stomach lurching as I stepped back. He hinted at a VP role, his words dripping with implication, "Closer collaboration could get you there faster." My mind raced, searching for an escape, my heart pounding like a trapped bird. I forced a smile, mumbled an excuse about a looming deadline, and fled, his chuckle echoing behind me like a warning shot. The next day, he passed me over for a high-profile Nike campaign I'd pitched, giving credit to a male colleague, Jared, who'd barely contributed. His smirk in the meeting a mirror of Marcus's nod, a silent message, "Comply or be erased." I was drowning, my world unraveling in a city that once felt like home. Mia's betrayal had gutted my personal life, leaving me broke and alone, the loft's rent a ticking clock I couldn't outrun, my mother's necklace a ghost in my empty safe. Marcus's harassment poisoned my professional world, turning every meeting into a tightrope walk, every glance from him a reminder of my vulnerability. I stopped sleeping, my nights consumed by rage, shame, and the hum of Portland's streets outside my window, the city's pulse mocking my own faltering heartbeat. The loft's exposed brick felt like a prison, each pumpkin candle a reminder of Mia's deceit, their flickering light casting shadows that danced like accusations. Vertex's open plan office, with its sleek desks, fake plants, and forced smiles, was a minefield where Marcus's presence loomed like a storm cloud, his cologne a trigger that made my hands clench. I'd look in the bathroom mirror, pale, hollow-eyed, a stranger, and wonder where I'd gone wrong. I'd trusted too much, believed in people who saw me as a mark, a pawn. The heartbreak was a physical ache. A weight in my chest that made breathing a chore, my reflection a reminder of the Ava I'd lost. But in the depths of that pain, a spark ignited, a quiet fire that refused to be snuffed out. I wasn't going to let them win. I'd make them pay, not with fists, but with something sharper, their own exposure, their truths laid bare in a way they couldn't escape. The plan took shape over weeks, fueled by black coffee and sleepless nights in my loft, the city's hum a backdrop to my resolve. The Willamettes flow a reminder that I could endure. First, Mia. Confronting her would be useless, she'd lie, gaslight, or vanish with my money, her charm a shield I couldn't pierce. I needed to hit her where it hurt, her reputation, the lifeblood of her socialite persona in Portland's tight-knit creative scene. Mia thrived on being the city's it girl, her Instagram a curated shrine to her charm, with 10,000 followers lapping up her posts about new ventures and living the dream. Using my marketing skills, I dug into her digital footprint like a bloodhound, my laptop a weapon in the dim light of my loft. Her Instagram was a goldmine, selfies in trendy bars like Teardrop Lounge, captions about big moves in the Bahamas, photos of her sipping cocktails with influencers. I cross-referenced them with public records and found the condo project, a shady deal tied to Derek's shell company, with no permits, no investors beyond me, and a trail of complaints on X from other partners who'd been ghosted. Posing as a potential investor from a burner email, I contacted Derek, my fingers steady as I typed. He was sloppy, sending bank details, contracts, and a spreadsheet that confirmed Mia's role as consultant, her $20,000, my money, funneled into an account under her name, disguised as fees. Another document listed my mother's necklace, pawned for $5,000, its sapphire pendant described as collateral for their expansion. I didn't stop there. I spent nights in a local cafe on Alberta Street. Its wooden tables scarred from years of use, the air thick with the scent of roasted beans, rain-damp coats, and the faint hum of indie music. My laptop glowed as I compiled a dossier, screenshots of Mia's emails to Derek, bank transfers, pawn shop receipts, and posts boasting about her hustle. I created an anonymous blog, The Truth About Trust, detailing her scam without naming myself, using my content strategy expertise to make it viral ready. I framed it as a cautionary tale about a local entrepreneur's deceit. Including just enough detail, her initials, MR, the Bahamas Project, a vague mention of a betrayed friend, to make it traceable to her. I optimized it for search engines, knowing Portland's gossip mill would do the rest. I seeded it on Reddit's r, Portland, local business forums, and X, using VPNs to cover my tracks, my heart racing as I posted links in group chats disguised as a concerned citizen. The post spread like wildfire, shared by friends, colleagues, even her yoga instructor. Who commented, "Is this who I think it is?" Disgusting. Mia's phone lit up with questions, her investors ghosted her followers unfollowed in droves, her follower count plummeting to 7,000 overnight. Her Instagram stories went silent, her reputation, her currency, crumbled in Portland's unforgiving creative scene. For Marcus, the stakes were higher, his power a fortress I had to dismantle brick by brick. His image, untouchable CEO, devoted husband, was his shield, and reporting him to HR was a dead end. They were his puppets, and Sarah's demotion proved he'd crush any whistleblower with a smile. I needed ironclad proof, something even his charm couldn't deflect. I started documenting everything, his emails requesting late meetings with coded language like strategy sync, his calendar with entries for client dinners at odd hours, his interactions with female staff, noted in a private journal I kept locked in my desk. Sarah, hesitant but trusting me, shared his texts, explicit, manipulative messages that made my blood boil, like "You're too talented to stay a junior, Sarah, let's talk privately." Other women, emboldened by my quiet resolve, slipped me their stories in whispered confessions over coffee or in hurried exchanges by the office printer, suggestive comments, demotions for refusing advances, forced resignations masked as career changes. I met them in quiet corners of Portland, Tom McCall Waterfront Park under dripping willows, dive bars in Buckman with sticky floors, a bookstore cafe on Hawthorne with creaky shelves, collecting their accounts on encrypted drives, my hands steady despite the rage in my chest, their voices a chorus of shared pain. The breakthrough came when I noticed Marcus's carelessness, a chink in his armor that gave me hope. He used Vertex's cloud server for personal emails, including ones to his mistress, Chloe, a former intern who'd left under murky circumstances after a sudden relocation. I accessed them, not by hacking, but through an admin password he'd shared during a crunch project last year, never bothering to revoke it, his arrogance my ally. The emails were a goldmine, proof of his affair with Chloe, his harassment of Sarah and others, expense reports for client dinners at hotels like the Nines that matched his rendezvous with Chloe, complete with bar tabs for $200 martinis. One email even mentioned me, "Ava's sharp, but she'll learn to play ball or get benched." I spent nights in my loft, the city's neon glow filtering through my blinds, cross-referencing dates and building a timeline that left no room for deniability. I compiled a report, anonymized but meticulous, with timestamps, receipts, and redacted testimonies from 6 women, including Sarah, each story a brick in the case against him. Using a burner email and a VPN, I sent it to Vertex's board, their biggest client, Intel, and Priya Khan, a local journalist at the Portland Business Journal known for exposing corporate misconduct. I framed it as a concerned employee's tip. My heart pounding as I hit send, the weight of months lifting with that click, the rain outside a cleansing rhythm. The fallout was swift and merciless, a reckoning that reshaped my world. Mia's venture imploded when Derek, spooked by the blog's exposure and whispers of fraud on X, pulled out, leaving her liable for the offshore account's debts, her name blacklisted in investment circles. Her social media went dark, her Instagram a ghost town, her name toxic in Portland's tight-knit creative scene. I got my $20,000 back, not directly, but through a settlement after threatening to sue Derek's company, backed by my dossier's evidence, and recovered my mother's necklace from the pawn shop, its sapphire glinting like a reclaimed piece of my heart. Mia slunk away, moving to a nowhere town in southern Oregon, her charm no match for the truth, her once vibrant presence reduced to whispers of that scam artist. I stood in the loft, now half empty after selling her furniture to cover rent, and felt a strange relief. The skylights caught the dawn, the rain's rhythm softening, and for the first time in months, I breathed easier, the air no longer heavy with her betrayal. Marcus's reckoning was louder, a public unraveling that shook Vertex to its core and echoed across Portland. Priya's exposé hit the Portland Business Journal's front page, Vertex CEO's misconduct uncovered, harassment, fraud, and affairs. The article detailed his harassment, backed by my report's evidence, emails, receipts, testimonies, and exposed his misuse of company funds, with quotes from unnamed employees, as the women who dared to speak. The board, pressured by Intel's threat to pull their $10 million contract, forced Marcus out within days, his severance package revoked, his office cleared out by security as he protested, his voice a pathetic whine. His wife, Lauren, filed for divorce, her attorney citing the emails in court filings that leaked to X, sparking hashtags like #VertexScandal. His reputation, his lifeblood, was shredded, his name a cautionary tale in Portland's corporate circles, his LinkedIn profile dormant, his connections dropping him like a bad stock. Vertex implemented a new ethics policy, with mandatory training and an independent HR auditor, a small victory for the women left in his wake. Sarah got her promotion, her smile returning as she thanked me in the break room, her hand squeezing mine, her eyes bright with gratitude. I stayed anonymous, watching from my desk as the glass walls reflected a new reality. One where predators didn't win, where the women of Vertex could work without fear, their voices finally heard. The revenge was a rush, a tidal wave of satisfaction with each headline about Marcus, each notification of Mia's downfall, a balm to the wounds they'd carved into my soul. But it wasn't just about them, it was about me. I'd been broken, humiliated, reduced to a shadow of the woman who'd once dreamed of changing Portland's skyline with her campaigns. Planning their downfall rebuilt me. Brick by brick, each step a reclaiming of my power. I learned to trust my instincts, to see through facades, to value my worth beyond what others took. I moved to a studio apartment by the Willamette, its windows framing the river's quiet flow, its $1,200 rent a fraction of the loft's, a manageable burden. The space was small but mine. Filled with thrift store bookshelves, succulents that thrived in the damp air, and a reclaimed wooden desk where I sketched new campaigns. I started painting again, vibrant abstracts in blues, golds, and fiery reds that Mia had once mocked as amateur. Each stroke was a defiance of her judgment, a celebration of my own voice, my canvases lining the walls like a gallery of my resilience. At Vertex, I mentored younger women like Sarah and Priya, a new intern with a sharp mind and a quiet strength. Teaching them to navigate snakes like Marcus, to document everything, to hold their ground in a world that often tried to silence them. I led a pro bono campaign for a local nonprofit, amplifying voices Portland often ignored: homeless youth, indigenous artists, single mothers like Sarah. The campaign, a series of short films shared on X, went viral, earning me a quiet nod from the new CEO, Elena, a woman who'd risen through the ranks without compromising, her handshake a promise of change. My nights were no longer sleepless. I'd walk the waterfront at dusk, the Hawthorne Bridge glowing against the sky, its arches a symbol of endurance. The river, once a mirror of my grief, now reflected my resilience, its current steady and unbroken. I also rebuilt my personal life, forging new connections with people who earned my trust. I joined a book club at Powell's where I met Lila, a photographer with a dry wit and a love for Portland's quirks. We'd spend Sundays browsing the bookstore's endless aisles, sipping coffee at the cafe, debating Atwood and Murakami, her laughter a reminder that friendship could be genuine. I grew closer to Sarah outside work, sharing dinners at food carts on Division Street, her son, Eli, tugging at my hand as we chased pigeons in Laurelhurst Park. Their warmth, their loyalty, were a balm to the scars Mia left, proof that I could love again, cautiously but fully. The lesson isn't just that betrayal cuts deep, it's that it doesn't define you. Trust can be rebuilt, not in others but in yourself, a foundation stronger than any glass wall. Resilience isn't about avoiding pain, it's about rising from it, sharper, stronger, unapologetic. I'm Ava, and I took back my power. Not with fists, but with truth, a weapon no one can steal. Portland's bridges, its rain, its pulse, they're my witnesses, my strength, my home.